Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So today's video, we have a Yamaha WR125 that has a knock-in engine. So 9 times out of 10, this is just a bore kit. Some people are saying on the forums it's a cylinder head noise, all this and all that. But I do so many of these, I've rebuilt so many that 9 times out of 10, it is just a piston. Normally it's the cheap eBay pistons that people put in them. They are absolute rubbish. I don't know what coating they use on the bore, but it doesn't last long at all. So we're going to use a branded bore kit, and I'm going to show you what this sounds like at the minute. So this is the bike, and you might be able to hear it, but it's got a loud exhaust on it, so not sure if you can hear that, but it's very loud. So I'm going to show you guys how you strip down and replace the bore kit if it's a bore kit. If it's not, then the engine will have to come out, and it's cheaper for my customer to get a new bottom end than it is for me to strip it and actually investigate and change what the problem is, which is probably going to be either crank bearings or crank related. So let's strip it down, we'll go from there. Just before we do that, actually, I'm going to show you the tools you need to do this job. So you don't need many tools at all. You could do this whole job with a Halford set. You just need the oh no, to be fair, even in a Halford set you get like the the Phillips adapter and the flathead adapter and stuff like that. So we've literally just got pliers set, socket set, a few extension bars, a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver. You don't even need this. This is just a 7mm to do the hose clips for the coolant. I've got a Halford's. This is a broken socket, so I've just swapped it for a snap-on one. The other socket for this is here. Just a full socket set for the Torx, Allen keys and stuff. 2 ratchets, new engine oil, new oil filter, and this gasket. Sometimes when you're taking the cylinder head off and you've changed the piston and bore and you're putting the cylinder head back on, sometimes the chain comes off the bottom sprocket, and for you to do that is you've got to take the side cover off. Sometimes the gasket comes off with the side cover, but most of the time it does rip, so you will need a new gasket if that is to happen. I've taken the bolts off this side already, just to take the side fairing off, just so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to set the tripod up with the other camera, and we're going to start stripping down the engine, and I'll talk through what you need. Or you also need a drain tray, and actually I forgot, you're going to need one of these. It's a really small flathead screwdriver. This is for the timing chain. It's for the timing chain tensioner. Another tool I forgot about actually is you're going to need a puller. So if the timing chain feels like it's just spinning and you can't feel it on the bottom sprocket, you're going to need a puller to pull off the flywheel on the gear shifter side, so the chain side, to pull the flywheel off, because behind the flywheel is where the chain would go onto the sprocket. And then I'll show you a little trick as well of how to keep that chain to not fall off again, because you can't time the engine up with that side cover off, because you need the side cover to time it up. But we'll talk into that once we get to that stage. So let's start stripping the bike. Right guys, so we're going to start taking the plastics off. As I've already said, I've taken the bolts off the other side. You also have 2 hidden bolts. Obviously you don't on this side because the battery tray is broken, but you have a bolt this side and the same the other side, which is I've already done already. So I'm going to start by taking the top plastics off. To remove this plastic, you have to take the fuel cap off. So we're going to take the fuel cap off with the key. You've got on both sides this rubber grommet. You just need to pull out the plastic from the rubber grommet on both sides, and then this will come straight off, just like that. We're going to take the fuel tank off. Allen key and two 10 mils. You're going to lift it up like this, and then you've got this fuel hose here. What you want to do is you want to push this down, and then it's quite hard to do, it's not easy to do. You're going to push both of these clips in. Like that. Then you want to unplug this plug. Like so, and this is off. We're going to take the coil plugs off. Orange is always at the top, so take a picture or just remember this bit on the video. Unplug that. And then on the other side, take the HT lead off and swing it round, because when you take that coil off, this is going to come with it. Unplug this. It's out of the way. I'm going to undo these two 14 mils. And then the same on the other side. I'm going to take this coolant hose off, which is 7 mil. Move my tray. And now I can undo the 14 mil bolt here. So you get the spanner the other side, which is 14 mil, and then you get a socket on it. And that comes off, like so. Right, next, I'm going to start taking the water pump and stuff off. With this water pump, you don't have to take everything off, so I'm not quite sure if you can see, you should be able to. This is the water pump, so we're going to need to take these hoses off. And you want to take these breathers and stuff off. So, and this breather. The only screws you need to undo is this one, and this one here. That is it, because now this will come off like so, and then I normally put the bolts in here so I know what it's for, and then I'll just leave it under the bike. Then I time the engine up, so you take this bung off, and then you take this bung off. Make sure the O-ring comes out with it, so that one's out. That O-ring's there, cool. Right, now it's a 17 mil. Yeah, 17 mil. You should see a line in here. Not sure if you're going to see this because it's LED and it might flicker on the camera, but if it's bad, I'll leave a diagram. So you have, when you spin it round, you should see in a minute. So you see there's two lines there, and both lines are joined by another line. If you go over more, there's a dot, and if you go over past the dot, there's another line. You want to use a single line after that dot, because that lines up to, you see that sprocket line? Let me turn the main lights on. It might be better. You see this bit here of the engine? That lines up to, well, close to, it's not 100% accurate, but to this line here. So you want to line up literally the ridge of this bit at the top of the head to that line on the camshaft. Right, now that we have the engine timed up, we're going to take the exhaust off. So literally just from this bracket here to the head and just wiggle it out. it should be 12mm originally. And Japanese bikes use 12, 14, 10s. So now, I'm just going to take this hose off. You can leave these ones on, to be fair. Leave these on. And then we're going to take the clutch cable off. So it's a 12mm. And then you see back here, it's like a finger. You want to lift that finger up. You can do it by hand. Lift it up, so then once you take this cable off of here, it will literally just ping straight off. Right, so I've taken the cable off. I'm going to undo these two Allen keys while I'm here. You might have to use an extension because you don't want to round these off. Keep these next to the water pump. Right, now undo this nut. So I normally use a gun, but I'm gonna do this another way, just for those of you that don't have a gun. So this is what I normally use. So I'd gun it off normally. What I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna put this flathead screwdriver, and then I'm gonna get an extension. And you're literally just gonna use that to stop it from moving. You wanna loosen that first, and then afterwards we loosen the tensioner. You might have to undo this plug to get to it. So this is the timing chain tensioner. Just gonna keep that aside. Some of these new bore kits don't actually come with this gasket. I've bought all different brands before and I've had all problems with the cheap ones, but the more expensive bore kits come with the gasket, so just keep the gasket just in case you don't have it. So now that we've taken that timing chain tensioner out, the chain is actually loose. So now what we can do is we can undo this nut. Take the bolt out, take the chain off, just drop the chain and take this, pull it out. Alright, you don't want to lose this, so take this out and put it inside like this, and just put it down on the floor under the bike. Right, so that's that bit done. I'm going to unplug the fan just so it's out of the way. So now I can tuck this out of the way and tuck this hose out of the way. I'm going to take this hose off here just so it's out my way. You can do it with it there, but what's the point? Just take it out of the way. Let's put the hose down there. So right, there's two ways you can do this, depending on your setup of your engine. So some of these engines have 8mm bolts. You see this inlet here where you got your throttle body and you got the rubber hose, and then it goes to the engine. Sometimes these are 8mm bolt, like mine is now. But what I'm going to do is, for the people that don't have this 8mm bolt and they have like a security Torx, where it's like a Torx with a hole in the middle, I'm going to do it the longer way, which is undoing these tiny Allen keys. Well, I say longer, it's not much longer to be fair. I'm going to undo these small Allen keys. I'll show you how I do it if you was to have security Torx. But for those of you that have this 8mm Allen key bolt, you can literally just undo it from the 8mm, this from both sides, and leave this whole thing here. So let's take this rubber hose off. In the gun, you can use a ratchet. They're not tight. It's just quicker. Okay, cool. Then you want to get a flathead screwdriver and just pry the carb off, or the throttle body even. Just want to pry it out of the way. and then this should come out. You just want to take it out, leave it here or wherever you want to leave it. So now the cylinder head's going to come off with this whole unit. So you want to unplug the injector, which is this, which is you push this little latch down, then you pull it out. I'm just going to do that quick. Really easy, it's not hard to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this whole injector out with this pipe. It's just easier. It's a 10mm, undo it, take it out. There is a spacer which I'm going to show you in a second, do not lose. So it's literally 10mm bolt, this spacer, which only goes on one way. You see this little, whatever you want to call it, sticking out bit, that goes into the hole of this bit to stop it moving, and then this will go into the hole of the intake. Now, this gets a little bit trickier, but you have 5 8mm bolts on here, one in this corner, one there, one here, and 2 the other side. Sometimes this comes with a copper washer on it, no idea why. It doesn't leak oil, I'm not too sure why they've put it there, but they have. So I'm going to use my gun. You can use a ratchet spanner, which is what I'm going to use for this, a ratchet spanner. So all the bolts in there. So now you have 4 12mm bolts in each corner. You want to undo all 4, and I believe 3 of them will come out, but the 4th one is a struggle, so you normally take it out with the cylinder head, which I'll show you in a sec. Right, so I'm going to take the head bolts out, but these head bolts have copper washers on them, so don't lose them. They might not come out with the bolts, but when we take the head off, we need to get them out. And there's 1, there's 2, no copper washer on it, there's 3. Might need to move the wiring, the head might move, that's alright. So this one's got the copper washer on it. If you lift the head up and twist it a little bit like this, you can lift it out. Just be careful when you're twisting the head, because there is, well, you'll see in a second when I take it off. Lift it up, and you want to come up this side. So you want to come up the other side, and the reason being is because you don't want to break this timing chain guide. You don't want to break it. So this one pulls out, this one doesn't. So leave this one in, but take this one out. And when you're putting your cylinder head on the floor like this, you don't want to damage the surface of the head. So there's one copper washer. This one's stuck. Right, so there's 2 of them. The other one fell out actually, over here somewhere. So we've got all the washers, just put them on the bolts, on the head bolts. Now we're going to keep all this under the bike together. Now you can take the bore off, which will need a wiggle. The base gasket will come off. So we have a head gasket on top of the bore, which is here, and then we have the base gasket, which is at the bottom, which is like a rubbery type. Luckily for me, that the base gasket was stuck to the bore, which is what I'm replacing. So I won't need to clean this really. I'll just have to make sure there's no oil on it and water on it, clean it down, and it should be good to go. And I found the problem with this already. So it is a piston and bore kit, which is common. Don't know if you can see, but there's some scoring. There's some scoring in the bore. I don't think the lighting's very good, but I'll show you the piston anyway, because you can see the piston. You see all the scoring on that piston. And this happens from a cheap bore kit. It is very common. I see it all the time. So now I'm going to check for play up and down. Side to side play is fine, absolutely normal. Up and down play, there should be none, which this has none of. Get some tissue and put this in the hole. And then what you're going to do is, you're going to get a pick. There's a clip in here, and what you're going to do is you're going to pick the clip out. And the reason we put the tissue here is to stop this clip going inside, because if it goes inside, you'll never get it out. Right, the clip pinged out, no idea where it went, but it's out, so it doesn't matter because the new one comes with new clips. So now we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to push this pin out from the other side, like that. And then this whole piston will come out. Right, there's a lot more light over here, so let's have a little look at this piston. You can see how worn it is. Like I say, 9 times out of 10, this is the problem. And so what's happened is it's worn one side of the piston down, and now there's going to be excessive play. When the con rod's going up and down, it's trying to twist the piston, and it's this that's hitting against the bore, which is this. This is the bore. Don't know if the light's better here, but you can see this side of the bore is where it's been scoring up. If I turn it around, you might even see it here. You see all the score? I hope you can see that, but that is the problem, believe it or not. And there's people thinking it's cylinder heads making a noise because the bike runs fine. No, it's not. It's the piston. The piston rings aren't damaged, it's the actual sidewall of the piston itself. So I'm going to show you what I got in my bore kit that I get. Naraku, no idea. All I know is it's a Japanese brand of some sort, which is good. They do good quality. So this comes with a head gasket, a base gasket, and an exhaust gasket as well, which is cool. So put that aside. Right, and then you get a brand new bore kit with piston rings. They're not fitted. Piston, new clips. See, the good thing is with these clips is they have these little sticking out bits, so you can get thin nose pliers in there, hold them and push them straight in with no problem. And then you get a new gudgeon pin for this piston. Be careful with these piston rings because they are very what's the word? Very brittle. Strong but brittle. 2 really thin rings, and you have a spring looking ring. So this scrapes the oil, so it's an oil scraper ring. So we're going to fit this first. So we're going to fit this bit first to the bottom, and all you do, it's not too hard, is you just want to hook it round. As you can see, that's in there, no problem. This doesn't need to hook over the top of this or anything like that. It literally just sits, it just pushes against each other. So it doesn't need to hook over it, if that makes sense. So then we get our first ring. We'll put it on top of that of it. Just take your time with it. So that's the top one done. Now we're going to go to the bottom. So you see this opening of the ring. So you can see mine is here. So now we're going to make sure that the opening of this ring is on the opposite side, 180 degrees apart. Right, second ring, I'm going to go from the bottom somewhere there. Just going to open it a little bit, not too much, don't want to break it. Right, so now we just need to make sure that we're not close to the other one. So we are quite close, so I'm just going to spin this one round. So now the opening of this ring is here, and the other one is here, near enough, exactly 180 degrees apart. Right, so you've got two piston rings now, one that's silver and one that's black. So the black one goes on the lowest one, so above the oil scraper ring. Just take your time with it, because they're very brittle. And the silver one, push it in, and then work your way around. That's it right now. So where's the oil scraper ring? Oil scraper ring is by the gudgeon pin. Now we're going to leave this black ring to this side, then we're going to do this 180 so it's facing the opposite. So now none of the rings, the hole blow by is not in the same place, so all the rings are all away from each other and they can't meet each other, like the gap can't meet each other. So that's the piston nearly done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put one clip in, because you only need to put one clip on, as you'll see when I fit it. So I'm going to put one of these clips on. So I'm going to put the gudgeon pin in, not the gudgeon pin, I'm going to put the gudgeon pin clip in. As you can see, she's in. Now the gudgeon pin. Right, so what I recommend you do first is you clean this area up. If you've got to take the gasket off, you don't want the piston being in the way. So you want to clean all this up. You then, so I have a dowel here, you can take these out. Sometimes they seize in. If they do, you're better off leaving it. If it doesn't come out easy, just leave it. So here's one here, the other one will be on the bore. So I'm going to get the bore and I'm going to take it out from the bore. Just got to twist it out, there we go, and place that there. This will hold the gasket in place, and then I've got another dowel on where the head gasket would go. I assume the other one's on the head, so I'm going to take this out and just leave it down here. Right, now that I've cleaned the area, I'm going to put this back in, and you want to put the piston in the right place. So how do I know which way round it goes? So the inlet is always the bigger valve compared to the exhaust. If you can see here, you see this is bigger than this. It's easier to force air out of an engine than it is to force it in. So that's why the inlet valve is always bigger than the exhaust. So what I'm going to do, I've got my piston here, and I've got an oil squirter jug. Just going to put a bit of oil where the gudgeon pin's going to go. I'm going to put some oil on this as well. Just going to put some oil on there, like so. Just get it all round. And then, so big at the back of the bike and the small at the front. So we're going to put this in. Right, so that's that in. Just push it with your pinky. Now we get the other clip and the pliers. There you go, that's clipped in. And now you just want to double check that the piston rings haven't moved. So that one has moved slightly. And so is that one. So you just want to make sure they're offset. You then want to put oil on it. Oil all around it. Just so you can help get this in. All over the piston rings. Right, cool. Right, now, one thing that I do forget sometimes is on the bore, you have this 10mm bolt. You need to put this on the new one because the new one doesn't come with it. As you can see here, it's missing. So I'm just gonna take it off and place it over this side. Don't do it too tight because you could break the new bore. So just don't do it too tight. Doesn't need to be too tight. It's got a washer on there. Reuse the same washer. I've never had a problem with it leaking. And if it does, washer, and you can still replace it with it on the bike, not a problem. Bolts on now. I'm gonna put some more oil around here. And what I like about doing these is that you see this bit of the bore is tapered. So as long as you've got the piston straight and you push the rings in with your fingers a tiny bit, this will literally just slide straight in because this is tapered. So it's literally helping you push the rings in a lot easier. So I'm gonna put some oil in this. I'm gonna put the base gasket on, then we're gonna fit the bore. Right, so we've got, and it come with, see, this is what I was saying. This comes with the timing chain, not timing chain, yeah, the timing chain tensioner gasket. So it comes with a new timing chain tensioner gasket, which I'm gonna keep aside. Obviously your exhaust gasket, which we don't need yet. But this is your base gasket. And you see this bit here that has the extended, this goes to this bit of the bore. And this is important because this is actually an oil feed. So you want to hook it over your timing chain guide around the piston, and then you want to stick it on to these dowels, and that's it. That's that bit done. As long as you cleaned it, it's all good. Right, now, again, you want to lift the piston up. You might need to push the rings in with your fingers a little bit. And then you need to push you push the piston evenly, front to rear, then just pat it. Right, because we put oil into the bore, there's going to be oil on top now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean the oil out. So just going to put tissue in there, twist it round, get as much as the oil as you can out. Doesn't matter, it's going to burn away anyway. And then that's that done. Right, onto this side, and we want to see where the mark is for the crank. So I'm going to hold this down while I put this in the right place. So I'm going to have to get the chain out. So get a magnet or some pliers to get this timing chain up here. There we go, like so. Just going to put it aside like that. Get the right socket. I believe it's that way. This piston will be right at the top. If this piston's right at the top, this is in line. And the reason why we do that now is because it's an absolute pain to get the chain on the front sprocket. You'll see in a minute that I'll probably get it 1 or 2 teeth out 2 or 3 times, because it isn't easy, but it's easily doable. Well, I'll say it's easy, it's just long, if that makes sense. Right, now we get the chain and we swing it over to this side. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't stay, just get a flathead screwdriver and hook it round like so, just so you can get this guide in. So this, let's clean it, get all the crap off. There's like a little ridge down here. You just put it in. To know if you've got it in, try and swing the guide up. If you can't swing it up, you know it's in the right place. But it's hard to get it in the wrong place anyway, to be fair, so you should be fine. Right, now that's on, we get the cylinder head. We'll make sure the cylinder head's clean. So we take this dowel out, put the dowel here, and then the other dowel, which I've taken out, which is over there, that goes here. So the same place as the bottom gasket. And then we get the head gasket, which is here. This bit goes to this guide because it's got the sticking out bit. It's basically a matching it. So let's take it out. Alright, it's both on. I'm going to let go of the chain. This cylinder head's clean, so I'm just going to put the cylinder head back on from the other side. I'm going to lift it over, and you'll know when it's in the right spot because it will literally, you won't be able to twist it. And then we're going to get the head bolts with the copper washers on it. So I hold it by the copper washer normally. That's one in. That's two in. Whoa. That was really tight, that was. So it's in now, so just gonna put these back in. Gonna do them hand tight again. The head bolts, gonna do them up hand tight and then we'll go around and do them up properly. Right, I've done them all up now, so now I'm gonna go around and do them up properly. These are the Torx figures. I don't actually torque these up. I should do really, but I never have. I like to think I'm quite good with feeling how tight things are. So, just need to tighten these Allen key bolts up now. So, where's the Allen key socket? Here. So the torque setting for these is this. I'm also not torquing these up. Again, doesn't need to be too tight. Right, I'm not going to show you this, but so if you can lift this chain up and spin it, right, really easily, that means the chain isn't on the bottom sprocket. And for you to put this chain back on the bottom sprocket, you need to take this cover off. So you need new gasket, and you're going to need to take this flywheel off, which is this nut here, which you're turning the engine over with. And you're going to need a special puller to remove that, and then you can put the chain back on the pulley. But to be fair, I don't need to do it, so I'm not going to do it. I was hoping that it would happen because it does happen often. It happens all the time, so. But it hasn't happened, so I'm not going to do it. Now that I've got the chain up, we're going to put this back, which come from the camshaft pulley. Put this back in the hole. And then I'm going to get my sprocket. Take the nut out. So this sprocket, you see this little thing I'm moving? You see this little hole here? That goes on this bit here. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try and put this line. I need to put the chain on this sprocket and put this to this line here. So, put the sprocket over the top so I can still spin it. I'm going to spin it to where I think is right, which is around here. I'm then going to put the chain on, So this can be quite hard to do. As you can see, I am a tooth or two out, depending on if this is moved or not. So now let's time this bottom bit up. Yeah, I am a tooth out. So now you take the pulley off. You've got to take the chain off again. Sometimes you can flick it over like that and hook it back on. Sometimes it works. I'm still a tooth out. So let's do it again. Right, so this is in the right place. So I'm going to put this nut in before it's too late. I can't put a torch on it because the LED, you might see it, but you see the mark is roughly where this is. If you was to work out where this line would be if it was one tooth over, it would actually be past this line. That's how I know if I've put it in the right place or not. So as you can see, this is a little bit more to the right of this line, but that's fine. Now I've just got to make sure that it's lined up to the bottom, and if it is, which it is, I can then put the tensioner in, which is here. I'm going to put the new gasket on, and I'm going to show you how you detension this tensioner. Right, so my new gasket's here. It could only go on one way, so make sure you put it the right way. What you want to do is, see this little rubber on the end? You want to take it off, so take that rubber off. And what you want to do is you want to get your tiny flathead screwdriver in here, and you want to twist it. And you'll see, as I'm twisting, it will wind in. And once you twist it all the way, yeah, like that. Once you twist it all the way in, it will actually stop. It will actually stop against a pin. And if you smack it with a screwdriver, or if you put a flathead in there and twist it the other way, it will spring back out. So you've got to be careful you don't knock it, otherwise it will spring. So I'm gonna get this Allen key. Right, do not over tighten these because you can rip the thread out the bore, because I do so many repairs and oil leaks on these where people do these themselves, or they think it's leaking from here, so they're gonna tighten it more and end up ripping the thread out or snapping the bolt. So do this to this torque figure and you'll be alright. But these are only tiny bolts. They don't need to be tight. Well, it needs to be tight, but not over tight. We're going to smack this, and you'll hear it bang, and you'll know if it's come out or not, because if you put a flathead here, you'll feel it's quite tight. And if you're not sure, just get a flathead in there and just twist it, and then you'll know. And then make sure you put this rubber bung back on the back of this, otherwise oil will come out. This little flathead is good to get this on. Literally just put it in there, and push that in there like that. We're going to put the flathead in where the sprocket is, and we're going to do up that pulley. We're going to do that pulley up to this figure. I'm going to use the gun. I've shown you how you do it up, so make sure you do it up once this tensioner's out, otherwise you're going to jump teeth. So I'm going to use the gun. Where is my gun? And just nip it up. We don't want this coming undone when we're turning it over. Right, so that's tight now. We're going to turn the engine over to make sure it's not going to hit. Right, you want to spin it over. Don't want to go too fast, just in case the timing is out. But normally you can have a tooth out and it'll still be fine. Just when you're riding it, it'll make like a tapping noise. And then you'll know when you take the engine back apart, you'll see there's like a little mark on the piston. The valve's fine, you won't bend it. It's just a slight mark on the... I know this because I've done it. When I was first doing these a few years ago, my first ever one, that's what I did. turn it over. Then you want to look in this hole, tighten it up to that line, and yeah, she is good. Because if you work out where this is now, this tooth here, if it was going to be over one, it would be in between this chain link, right? So if it's in between that chain link, it's past this, and if you're going past this line, you're out. So literally move it over a tooth and you'll be fine. Now we start putting it back together. So water pump. I'm going to fast forward this bit because you've seen me take it off. Just make sure this O-ring is on this water pump, and if it's not on here, make sure it's on the head, and if it is, take it off the head and put it back on here, otherwise you're going to have a coolant leak. And line this up with this bolt. So this spins, as the camshaft's spinning, it's spinning this bolt. This is why this bolt has a whole a line in it, because it spins the water pump. If you can't get the water pump on, it's because this isn't lined up. And then other than that, it's as straightforward as just putting it back together. Right guys, so it's all done now. Well, I'm mainly back together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start it up and see if the noise has stopped. Make sure there's no oil leaks quickly. Not going to run it for too long because I haven't put any coolant in it. But yeah, let's see what it sounds like. And I'm not going to rev it up because obviously it's brand new piston and stuff, still needs to be worn in. So I'm just going to run it for a little bit. I've already changed the oil and filter already, so it's brand new. So make sure you change the oil and filter, because sometimes there could be water that goes from the bore into the engine and you don't want any water in there, so change your oil and filter. So just taking the radiator cap off. For those of you that don't know, there's an Allen key that you have to undo first before this unscrews. Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's facing that way so you can't actually see it. So undo the Allen key and then this will unscrew. and then you're going to put the coolant and water in here. You're going to get it to operating temperature. Then once it gets to operating temperature, you're going to let it cool down. Might take a few hours, and then once it's cooled down, the level might have dropped, so top it up. Don't open it when it's hot because it will go everywhere and you'll end up burning yourself. I'm going to put coolant in it, run it up, get it to operating temperature, make sure the fan cuts in and out, check any coolant leaks, oil leaks, and then after I'm happy with it, these do take forever to warm up. Honestly, you could leave it outside 15-20 minutes and then the fan might just be kicking in. And then once I've done that, I'm then going to put all the plastics and stuff on. So that's it for this video. I hope this helped. If you want any video requests, let them know in the comments below, and I'll see if I can get some sort of content together for you guys. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.